This is part 3 of Romeo and Juliet Act 2. We are on page 106 on line 35. Mercutio and Benvolio are noticing a change in Romeo now that he has decided to marry Juliet.
Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed in. Laura to his lady was a kitchen wench. Marry, she had a better love to berhyme her. Dido, a dowdy, Cleopatra, a gypsy. Helen and Hero, Hildings and harlots. Thisbe, a grey eye or so, but not to the purpose. Signor Romeo, bonjour. There's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive?
Pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine a man may strain courtesy.
That's as much as to say such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hams.
Meaning to courtesy.
Thou hast most kindly hit it.
A most courteous exposition.
Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for flower.
Right.
Why then is my pomp well flowered?
Sure wit. Follow me this jest now, till thou hast worn out thy pomp, that when the single soul of it is worn, the jest may remain, after the wearing, solely singular.
Oh, single-souled jest, solely singular for the singleness.
Come between us, good Benvolio, my wits faints.
Swits and spurs, or I'll cry a match.
Nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done. For thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am sure I have in my whole 5. Was I with you there for the goose?
So they're talking about Romeo's attitude and how he has changed, and they're being very witty, and they're going back and forth, and they're joking with one another.
Thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast not there for the goose.
I will bite thee by the ear for that jest.
Nay, good goose, bite not.
Thy wit is a very bitter sweetening. It is a most sharp sauce.
And is it not then well served into a sweet goose?
Oh, here's a wit of Cheverel that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad.
I stretch it out for that word broad, which added to the goose proves thee far and wide a broad goose.
Why, is not that better now than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo, now art thou what thou art, by art as well as by nature. For this drivelling love is like a great natural that runs lolling up and down to hide his babble in a hole.
So Mercutio is saying, I'm so glad you're back to being normal. You're finally Romeo again. Let's see what everybody else has to say.
Stop there, stop there.
Thou desirest me to stop in my tale against the hair.
Thou wouldst else have made thy tale large.
Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was come to the whole depth of my tale, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer.
Here's goodly gear.
The nurse enters with Peter, a servant.
A sail, a sail!
Two, a shirt and a smock.
They are making fun of the nurse as she walks towards them to talk to Romeo about Juliet's plans for getting married.
Peter!
Anon!
My fan, Peter.
Good Peter, to hide her face, for her fan's the fairer face.
God ye good morrow, gentlemen.
God ye good den, fair gentlewoman.
Is it good den?
'Tis no less, I tell ye, for the body hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
So he just made a dirty joke. Mercutio is making fun of the nurse, saying she's ugly and that she is a prostitute. And so he's making fun of her, and she is playing along but is also offended.
Out upon you, what a man are you?
One, gentlewoman, that God hath made himself to mar.
By my troth, it is well said, for himself to mar. Quotha! Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo?
I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of a worse.
You say well.
Yea, is the worst well? Very well took a faith, wisely, wisely.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you.
She will indict him to some supper.
Abhorred, abhorred, abhorred. So ho.
What hast thou found?
No hare, sir, unless a hare, sir, in a Lenten pie, that is something stale and hoar ere it be spent.
Mercutio walks by them and sings.
An old hare whore and an old hare whore is very good meat in Lent. But a hare that is whore is too much for a score when it whores ere it be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? We'll to dinner thither.
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady, farewell.
Singing.
Lady, lady, lady.
Benvolio and Mercutio exit.
I pray you, sir, what saucy merchant was this that was so full of his ropery?
So Mercutio just went on this long rant about how the nurse is ugly and will not ever please a man. And then he sings a song. And so keep in mind that he is the symbol of mental health issues for us. So once he's angry at Romeo for not being normal, then he's happy that Romeo is acting more normal, then he's irritated about the nurse being in their group of friends, then he's very, very concerned that they're going to miss dinner, then he starts singing and skipping away. So watch his actions carefully because it's going to tell us a lot about his mental state. So the nurse has asked, who was that guy and what is his problem? Romeo's going to try and smooth it over and make everything okay.
A gentleman, nurse, that loves to hear himself talk and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month.
And speak anything against me, I'll take him down. And were a lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks. And if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave, I am none of his flirt gills. I am none of his skeins mates.
She turns to Peter, her man.
And thou must stand by too, and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure.
I saw no man use you at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon should quickly have been out. I warrant you, I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see occasion in a good quarrel, and the law is on my side.
Now, afore God, I am so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave! Pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bid me inquire you out. What she bid me say I will keep to myself. But first let me tell ye, if ye should lead her in a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior, as they say. For the gentlewoman is young, and therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress. I protest unto thee.
Good heart, and I faith I will tell her as much. Lord, Lord, she will be a joyful woman.
So the nurse is threatening Romeo, hey, if you're messing with my child's heart, I'm going to hurt you. And he says, no, I'm totally serious. I'm in love with her. And she says, well, that's good.
What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me.
I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer.
Bid her devise some means to come to Shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence' cell be shrived and married. Here is for thy pains.
He puts money into her hand.
No, truly, sir, not a penny.
Go to. I say you shall.
This afternoon, sir? Well, she shall be there.
And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high topgallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell, be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell, commend me to thy mistress.
Now God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir.
Okay, so Romeo gives her money and says, here, go behind the abbey wall, which is the church, and as I'm marrying Juliet, my servant will bring you a rope ladder that you are going to put on Juliet's balcony so I can climb up in the night. Okay?
What sayest thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man secret? Did you ne'er hear say, two may keep counsel, putting one away?
Warrant thee, my man's as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady, Lord, Lord. When 'twas a little prating thing, oh, there is a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife aboard. But she, good soul, had as lieve see a toad, a very toad as see him. I anger her sometimes, and tell her that Paris is the properer man. But I'll warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter?
Aye, nurse, what of that? Both with an R.
Ah, mocker, that's the dog's name. R is for the... No, I know it begins with some other letter, and she hath the prettiest sententious of it, of you and Rosemary, that it would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times.
Romeo exits.
Peter,
Anon.
before and apace.
Peter exits, followed by the nurse.
So the nurse says, oh, Juliet talks about you all the time. She's really excited to marry you. I tried to convince her that Paris was the better man, but she's not having any of it. Okay?
Scene 5. Later that day. Capulet's orchard. Juliet, waiting for the nurse to return from the meeting with Romeo, paces impatiently.
The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse, and half an hour she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. That's not so. Oh, she is lame. Love's herald should be thoughts, which 10 times faster glides than the sun's beams driving back shadows over lowering hills. Therefore do nimble pinioned doves draw love, and therefore hath the wind swift Cupid wings. Now is the sun upon the highmost hill of this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours. Yet she is not come. Had she affections and warm youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball. My words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. But old folks, many fain as they were dead, unwieldy, slow, heavy and pale as lead.
The nurse enters with Peter.
Oh God, she comes. Oh, honey nurse, what news? Hast thou met with him? Send thy man away.
Peter, stay at the gate.
Peter exits.
Now, good sweet nurse, O Lord, why lookest thou sad? Though news be sad, yet tell them merrily. If good, thou shamest the music of sweet news by playing it to me with so sour a face.
I am aweary. Give me leave a while. Fie, how my bones ache. What a jaunts have I.
I would thou hadst my bones, and I thy news. Nay, come, I pray thee speak. Good, good nurse, speak.
Jesu, what haste! Can you not stay a while? Do you not see that I am out of breath?
How art thou out of breath when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath? The excuse that thou dost make in this delay is longer than the tale thou dost excuse. Is thy news good or bad? Answer to that. Say either, and I'll stay the circumstance. Let me be satisfied. Is't good or bad?
Well, you have made a simple choice. You know not how to choose a man. Romeo? No, not he. Though his face be better than any man's, yet his leg excels all men's. And for a hand and a foot and a body, though they be not to be talked on, yet they are past compare. He is not the flower of courtesy, but I'll warrant him as gentle as a lamb. Go thy ways, wench. Serve God. What have you dinned at home?
So she says, Romeo may not be the most courteous person, but he's very good looking and he's very kind.
No, but all this did I know before. What says he of our marriage? What of that?
So we're going to find out what Romeo says to the nurse through her to Juliet here in the next video.